What's up, sisters? It's your boy, Beef, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a brand new Baldur's Gate 3 build that honestly just kinda slaps. We're rocking the new Swashbuckler Rogue paired with the modded Genie Warlock, and the vibe is full-on cursed pirate with a genie sugar daddy trapped in a bottle. It's melee-focused, super stylish, and hits way harder than it has absolutely any right to. I'm going to be running 16 levels of the Warlock class as well as 4 levels of the Rogue class, and I'll walk you through why that split works, what to look out for, and how to make this thing feel as smooth as it plays. This is a character concept I developed for a tabletop D&D campaign that I'm currently playing through Ghosts of Saltmarsh, but my friend said that it wasn't lore accurate, and then made his own Warlock, so we all know what that really means. Declan Voss was once just another smooth-talking privateer chasing coin and chaos across the Sword Coast until he came across a curious glass bottle, humming with ancient power. He thought he'd found a bottle of rum. Instead, he found a patron. Now bound to a powerful genie sealed within the bottle, Declan fights not just for treasure, but for the promise of freedom. Whether it's his own or the genie's, he's not quite sure. With a saber in one hand and eldritch energy crackling in the other, he dances through the battle like a storm at sea, graceful, wild, and never entirely in control. Whether he's charming nobles, dueling pirates, or casting thunder through the hull of an enemy ship, one thing is certain: where Declan Voss goes, the wind follows. For this character, we're going to be using Patch 8's Swashbuckler Rogue for that salty pirate flavor, and combining it with the modded Genie Warlock subclass from 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. The Genie Warlock is a subclass made by VNAB and is available on the Nexus, and as part of our character's RP, we're going to be pretending that our genie lives inside a ship in a bottle. Hell freaking yeah. Lore friendly or not, this was too cool for me to just ignore, so I'm making it in Baldur's Gate 3 instead. Take that, motherfucker. So for our character's race, we can choose virtually whatever we want. I've decided to go with a modded Air Genasi, made available by the Elemental Power mod by creator Tepkinset, but it doesn't really offer us anything more than some flavor. I would generally recommend going for a human or any other race that has armor or shield proficiencies like humans and Gith. Genasi don't have shield proficiencies, so I won't be featuring a shield in this build, but having extra AC is pretty much always a nice bonus, especially since this character is going to be wearing light armor for pretty much the entire game. For our character's first 4 levels, we're going to go with the Rogue class so that we can get access to our sneak attack and rakish audacity as quickly as possible. This also feeds into the story of our character who starts as a pirate and then stumbles across the ship in a bottle and gains his genie patron. So for level 1, we're taking the Rogue class, which gives us access to our basic sneak attack and not much else. We will, however, get to choose several skill proficiencies and 2 expertise, which is one of the great benefits of starting with the Rogue class. I've decided to go with proficiency in both sleight of hand and stealth, as well as performance and persuasion, electing to take expertise in performance and persuasion. And for our ability scores, we want to focus primarily on charisma and dexterity. Dexterity is for our armor class and initiative, and since we're eventually going to become a Pact of the Blade Warlock, we're going to want to invest heavily in our charisma stat. I've set both for even scores of 16. I've also set our constitution to a score of 14, our wisdom to a score of 12, and dumped both of our strength and intelligence stats at a score of 8. That's all for level 1, so let's go ahead and move on up to level 2. At level 2, we're taking our second level of the Rogue class for our cunning actions, where we can use a bonus action to hide, dash, or disengage. Not much else that we get at Rogue level 2, so let's go ahead and move up to level 3. At level 3, we get to choose our Rogue subclass, which for us is going to be the Swashbuckler. This subclass gives us access to the fancy footwork and also rakish audacity passives. Fancy footwork means that if we make a melee attack against a creature, they cannot make opportunity attacks against us, which is essentially half of the mobile feat without the extra kind of movement distance. Rakish Audacity, on the other hand, gives us a +2 bonus to our initiative rolls and makes us able to do sneak attacks much more reliably when we're dueling enemies away from their friends. We don't need advantage to trigger the sneak attack as long as we are within 1.5 meters of the target and don't have disadvantage, which is freaking awesome. At level 4, we get our core rogue abilities called our Dirty Tricks. Dirty Tricks Flick of the Wrist enables us to use a bonus action to make another weapon attack, disarming our enemy. It's basically the disarming attack from the Battle Master Fighter, but with our bonus action and not using superiority die, so it's very powerful. We also get access to a Vicious Mockery on our bonus action through Dirty Trick Vicious Mockery. And we also get access to Pocket Sand. Yup, we can get Pocket Sand, allowing us to blind an enemy by throwing sand in their eyes, because of course we can. Why the hell not? We're basically Dale Gribble now.
Pocket Sand.
For our feat, I'm going to go for the Alert feat, just so we have extra initiative and cannot be surprised, and because we're a pirate who's always alert and keeping an eye on things in our areas. At level 5, we're finding our ship in a bottle Genie, and we're going to switch over to multi-classing into the Warlock class. We get to choose 2 cantrips here, and I'm going to go with Booming Blade and also Eldritch Blast. We can sneak attack and Booming Blade in the same turn, so we have a really high consistent melee damage, and we're also going to be choosing a Genie, so we'll be thunder themed anyway. For our subclass, we're obviously going for the Genie Warlock. We're going to get access to subclass spells, as well as some spells based on our specific type of genie. For us, that means we're going to get access to Detect Evil and Good, which is a new spell offered through the mod, and one of the 4 spells available here, depending on which genie we decide to take, which we'll cover in a little bit. We'll also get an ability called Summon Vessel, which allows us to summon our genie's vessel into our inventory, which grants us some extra carry weight, and when we have the bottle in our possession, we can use Bottled Respite to enter the bottle, where we can stay for a number of turns equal to twice our proficiency bonus, and then we can leave using a bonus action. Basically, this allows us to banish ourselves into the bottle at will, giving us a little bit of defensive ability in case something crazy is about to happen and we really just want to go hide inside of our genie's bottle for whatever reason. We also get access to Genie's Wrath, a feature which makes our melee attacks, once per turn, deal additional damage of our genie's type equal to our proficiency bonus. We have 4 choice of genies. We have Dao, Ginny, Ifriti, and Merid. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but that's how I'm going to pronounce it. These are effectively the earth, air, fire, and water genies, respectively. We're going to choose the Genie for thunder-based spells and also thunder damage with our Genie's Wrath. What this means for our subclass spells is that we're going to get access to Thunder Wave from this specific list. You'll only get one of these depending on which of the genies you chose, and because we have chosen the Genie, we're going to get Thunder Wave. For our chosen spells, I'm going to select Armor of Agathis and also the Hex spell so that we have some cool options for extra damage and some more defense. At level 6, we get Warlock level 2 for another spell and some invocations. For our spell, I'm deciding to go with Protection from Evil and Good because it's a really great concentration option that gives us a really nice buff. And for our invocations, I'm using the Invocations Expanded mod by Tyson Maniac 1 for a bunch of extra options. And for our options, I'm going to take the Mask of Many Faces as well as Devil's Sight. Mask of Many Faces allows us to cast Disguise Self at will without expending a spell slot, which is really fantastic because we are a tricky swashbuckling pirate, so it kind of makes sense that we're able to blend into different areas of society depending on where we need to go. Devil's Sight, on the other hand, is going to give us access to that magical darkness vision, which is really awesome, pretty much always useful to have. At level 7, we get Warlock level 3, where our subclass gains access to the Gust of Wind spell through our Genie. We don't get Spike Growth, Scorching Ray, or Blur. They come from the other Genie types, but we're getting access to Gust of Wind, which is pretty cool. We're also going to get access to Phantasmal Force as part of the regular subclass spells, which is really awesome. And we're going to get to pick a new spell, so we're getting access to a lot of really cool things. I'm going to choose Misty Step for some really great movement utility. We're also going to be picking a Pact boon, and here Pact of the Blade is generally the best option. It's pretty much always the best option on any Warlock, but for this one I think it makes a lot of sense because we're a Swashbuckler, we'll get Charisma scaling, eventually extra attack, and we're also a pirate. So, yeah. At level 8, we get our 4th level of the Warlock class, where we get access to a new cantrip, and I'm going to go for Minor Illusion so that we have access to another little tricky option up our sleeve. For our spell, I'm going to take Hold Person as the best crowd control spell in the game, in my humble opinion at least, that will scale incredibly well with our spell slots. For our feat, I'm taking an ability score improvement for 2 extra points into Charisma, since we're now a Pact of the Blade Warlock, and our melee attacks will be scaling off of Charisma. Really awesome. At level 9, we're getting our 5th level of Warlock for access to 3rd level spells, our Deepened Pact, which grants us an extra attack with our weapon, and we're also going to get some really cool new spells. We're going to get Create Food and Water, which is pretty nice. There's really a ton of food options throughout the game, so you're not going to need to use this very often, but it's always nice to have in case you're a little bit short at a long rest for whatever reason. And we're also going to learn the Lightning Bolt spell through our Genie, who is a lightning thunder themed genie. For our chosen spell, I'm going to go with Counter Spell. We don't always want to use it since we don't have tons of spell slots available to us once per short rest, but if we do need it, it's always nice to have in case there's some spell that's going to cast and we don't have another character who can do it. For our invocation, I'm going to be taking Eldritch Mind for advantage on concentration checks. It's basically the Warcaster feat without the Shocking Grasp, so that's really awesome. It means that we don't have to take a feat to get that same bonus. At level 10, we get Warlock level 6 for some new subclass features. Specifically, Elemental Gift will grant us resistance to thunder damage, which is kind of nice. Thunder damage isn't that common, but it's always nice to have it. And we're also going to gain Elemental Gift charges equal to our proficiency bonus, which allows us to spend a bonus action to fly for 10 turns. For our chosen spell, I'm going to be taking Thunderstep, which is available through the Mistress Spells mod, and allows us to basically do a Misty Step or Dimension Door because we can choose an ally to teleport with us that will also deal 3d10 thunder damage in the spot that we left behind. This is really fantastic utility. It's in between Dimension Door and Misty Step, but it also does some really great thunder damage. 3d10 is a good amount to do in a really big area of effect surrounding us while teleporting us away into safety. At level 11, we get our 7th level of the Warlock class for 4th level spells. Our subclass is going to get access to Phantasmal Killer, which is a really nice spell, and our Genie is going to give us access to Greater Invisibility, which is absolutely awesome to have. For our chosen spell, I'm going with Banishment, effectively allowing us to banish an enemy into our ship in a bottle for a few turns. And for our invocation, I'm going to choose Trickster's Escape. This invocation allows us to cast Freedom of Movement on ourselves without using a spell slot once per long rest. Hell yeah. At level 12, we get our 8th level of the Warlock class for another spell and also a feat. For our spell, I'm going to take Gaseous Form. We have an air genie, so yeah, we can turn into a cloud of gas, so what? For our feat, I'm going to take another ability score improvement for 2 more points into Charisma, bringing us up to an even score of 20. At level 13, we get Warlock level 9 for access to 5th level spells. We're going to be learning the Creation spell, which is interesting. It comes to us with this class and gives us a few different options. We can kind of create these different random things. I don't really know exactly what use this has for us, but it's always nice to have because it's just kind of cool and allows us to do a few different unique things that we can't do otherwise. We're also going to get access to Control Winds, which is a really cool crowd control spell. It's a concentration ability, and we can kind of decide which direction the winds are blowing. We can make them blow downwards to make enemies fall prone. We can make them blow all around to kind of make the area difficult terrain. We can impose disadvantage on range attacks if someone attacks from within that little area. It's pretty cool. I'm not super familiar with the spell myself. It's from Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, but it's not one that I've ever used personally. That said, we are going to get access to our own chosen spell, and I'm going to go with Hold Monster because it's another one of the best crowd control options in the game. Really awesome. And for our Eldritch Invocation, I'm going to scroll all the way down here and grab Minions of Chaos so that we can summon an air elemental granted to us by our Genie. At level 14, we get our 10th level of the Warlock class. This gives us access to Genie's Vessel charges, allowing us to use Sanctuary Vessel, which we can use to grant our allies the benefit of a short rest and allow them to regain additional hit points equal to our proficiency bonus. Pretty cool. We're also going to gain a new cantrip, and I'm going to go with Mage Hand because we might as well. It's a really fantastic cantrip option. You could go with theoretically whatever you want here. And for our chosen spell, I'm going to take Remove Curse just because it's a good utility spell, and we're starting to kind of reach a point where we have everything that we want. Everything that we're going to get from here is just things that are extra and fun for our class to have. At level 15, we get our 11th level of Warlock for Mystic Arcanum and also another spell. For Mystic Arcanum, I'm going to take Eye Bite because it's a really cool spell that I'm a big fan of. We can use it to make an enemy fall asleep, become fearful, or take disadvantage on a bunch of different ability checks. And for our new spell, I'm going to grab Shatter just because it's more thunder damage in an AoE, and it will automatically upscale to the 5th level, dealing a ton of thunder damage. At level 16, we get Warlock level 12 for another spell, an invocation, and also a new feat. For our spell, I'm going to grab Shatter because it does thunder damage in an AoE and will get upcast for a ton of thunder damage. For our invocation, I'm going to be taking Life Drinker because this is a really powerful ability for Pact of the Blade Warlocks. Attacks made with your weapon deal additional necrotic damage equal to your charisma modifier, so we're going to get a ton of extra damage riders. And for our feat, my pick here is to go with Savage Attacker for more consistent melee damage to match with all of our damage riders and our sneak attack bonuses. At level 17, we get Warlock level 13 for access to another Mystic Arcanum. We obviously can only use these once per long rest, so Mystic Arcanum isn't that powerful for us. We do get access to some really cool spells, but because we can only use them once per long rest, it's only kind of useful. I'm going to grab True Seeing, which is available through Mistress Spells, because this will allow us to see everything within 18 meters as it actually is. They also gain a plus 20 bonus to perception checks. Just really nice for some really great utility. Nothing else here is really that powerful, so I'm going to go ahead and take True Seeing. At level 18, we get our 14th level of the Warlock class for our final subclass feature, Limited Wish. Our Genie can grant us a wish once every 2 long rests, and there are several options for it, including a special weapon, massive thunder damage in a large area of effect, lots of healing, and a couple other options that don't show here, but I can go over them a little bit later. At level 19, we get access to our 15th level of Warlock for yet again another Mystic Arcanum option, as well as an Eldritch Invocation. For Mystic Arcanum, I'm going to go with Psychic Crush for 12d6 psychic damage to a single target creature, just because might as well. It's a pretty decent ability. For our invocation, I'm going to take the Gift of the Protectors, which basically gives us Death Ward once per long rest. Really fantastic. If you reach 0 hit points, you regain 1 hit point instead of becoming downed. Basically, Death Ward. Pretty good to have. And finally, at level 20, we take our 16th and final level of the Warlock class for one last feat. I'm going to choose Defensive Duelist. Since I don't have a shield, I'm playing a Genasi, meaning we could use our reaction to increase our armor class by our proficiency bonus, just to give us a little bit of extra defense. That's pretty much all for the leveling of this character, so let's hop out and take a look at some of our equipment options. So for our items, there's a few things that will really make this character build go crazy. For our hat, we're going to wear the Diadem of Arcane Synergy. When you inflict a condition upon an enemy, you'll gain Arcane Synergy for 2 turns. Due to another one of the items that we're going to be wearing, we're going to be dealing conditions pretty regularly with our weapon attacks, while also our Flick of the Wrist abilities will also be applying different conditions, so we'll be able to gain Arcane Synergy that way. For our cloak, I'm using the Thunderskin Cloak. When a creature with Reverberation deals damage to the wearer, the creature needs to succeed a DC 13 Constitution saving throw or become dazed. We're going to be applying the Reverberation status effect through the Spine Shudder Amulet and also the Ring of Spiteful Thunder. For our armor, we're going to use the Elegant Studded Leather. You could use any light armor or medium armor if your character has access to it, if you played a Gith or another character like that. With the Elegant Studded Leather, we'll gain a +2 bonus to our initiative rolls, advantage on stealth checks, and 1 free use of the shield spell. For our gloves, we're going to use the Gloves of Belligerent Skies. When the wearer deals thunder damage, lightning damage, or radiant damage, inflict 2 turns of reverberation upon the targets. Because our weapon is also going to be dealing thunder damage pretty regularly, this is also how we're going to be dealing some extra reverberation and getting the reverberation stacks off of enemies. For our boots, I'm using the Boots of Stormy Clamor. Once per attack, when the wearer inflicts a condition upon a hostile creature, they also inflict 2 turns of reverberation. So we're going to be applying the extra 2 turns of reverberation once per turn. Like I mentioned before, we're using the Spine Shutter Amulet. When the wearer deals damage with a ranged spell attack, inflict 2 reverberation upon the target. If you wanted to use Eldritch Blast, you could pass it around that way, or we could use our Lightning Bolt, any of our kind of ranged spells. And also the Ring of Spiteful Thunder. When the wearer deals thunder damage to a reverberating creature, it becomes dazed unless it succeeds a Constitution saving throw. So we're going to be dazing and reverberating a lot of enemies with just our basic abilities. In addition, I have the Ring of Protection just to give us an extra +1 bonus to our armor class and our saving throws. For our weapon, we're going to use the Harmonic Dueler, which is available in Act 3 and has the Mellow Harmony ability. Mellow Harmony is really cool because it will allow us to make a performance check, which we have expertise on, a +11 bonus, so we're pretty much always going to pass it, and success will grant all your melee weapon attacks additional damage equal to your charisma modifier. This means that if we do that, plus Arcane Synergy, we're going to be dealing an additional 10 damage with every single weapon attack. They stack, really powerful, really awesome, and it's just going to make us do a lot of damage. It basically gives us access to Great Weapon Master while wielding a rapier. That's super awesome and just gives us a lot of extra damage. For your ranged weapon, you could go with virtually whatever you want. I've decided to use the new Evelyn's Empress. It's a revolver created by Modder Skirby. It's a little bit powerful, but it'll give us access to Quick Draw with a +3 bonus to initiative, and we can't be surprised. We've already got Alert, but this one's nice to have just because might as well get the +3 bonus to initiative, and it will immediately restore an action and bonus action at the start of combat. When an enemy makes a range attack against you, you may use a reaction to draw and shoot first. This is the primary ability that we're going to be using with this weapon. Every time that an enemy hits us with a ranged weapon, we can go ahead and go, bah, sorry. It feels really like swashbuckly to me. I really like the vibe of it. Big Iron, while you are not dual wielding and your offhand is empty, you can make additional range attack with the Empress. You may toggle your attack mode to be single or double. Whenever you score a critical hit, you can make another shot and reload for free. Hot Shot, the last bullet of your revolver, does an additional 1d6 fire damage that ignores all resistances. When bullets are depleted, you are unable to attack until you reload. You have infinite bullets outside of combat, and as this weapon levels up, you'll get access to new abilities like High Stakes, Showdown, Dynamite Shot, Crack Shot, Quick Load, Dance for Me, and Fan the Hammer. My favorite part about this weapon is the Perform Revolver Spinning, which is also very swashbucklery to me. We can go ahead and do this, and now we're spinning it, and people just come and watch us spin our revolver because isn't that cool? They love it. We're getting a performance roll successful, and people just like to come out and hang out and watch us play with our pistol because why the hell not? Then they'll throw money at us. That feels very piratey to me, you know? Just like doing some really silly shit for gold. I like it. So before we get ourselves into combat here, let's start by doing a couple things. I'm going to summon our vessel. And then we're going to go ahead and see that we have our Genie's vessel in our inventory. If we go ahead and drop it, we can see we placed it on the ground. Once it's on the ground there, we can use Bottled Respite and click on it. And now we'll appear directly in our vessel. We're hiding out in our cute little lamp. We're going to pretend that it is a chip in a bottle. And now you can see we're just kind of floating here. Let's go ahead and use a bonus action to pop on out. I'm going to pick it right back up. And now I also have the Drakethroat Glaive here equipped because we're going to do something a little bit fancy. We're going to use Draconic Elemental Weapon, the Thunder version, in order to buff our Harmonic Dueler, which I placed on the ground. And doing so allows our Harmonic Dueler to now have 1d8 plus 4. We're going to Pact Weapon it and give it even more damage, plus 1d4 Thunder. So if we give it the Pact Weapon bonus, then it's now doing 1d8 plus 6 plus 1d4 Thunder. Really cool. Let's go ahead and summon in our Elemental. Let's cast Freedom of Movement on ourselves. So right again, before we get into combat, let's go over the limited wish options real quick. You can use these once every 2 days, and we have a few options. We have Elemental Grace. You request a protection from your Genie patron, releases warding elemental magic to fill the area around you. Allies within 12 meters of you immediately regain half of their hit point maximum and gain the benefits of lesser restoration, and also become resistant to thunder damage. Genie's Armament will spawn us a +2 Scimitar of Speed in your hand, blessed by Patron's magic. It'll deal additional 1d4 lightning damage. This one's pretty cool, but I like the Mellow Harmony even better than this weapon. We'll also get access to Display of Power, which is a 12-meter area of effect that does 8d6 thunder damage and stuns enemies. Noble Generosity will basically just spawn a chest in front of you with 2,000 gold, as well as a random selection of food and different valuables. And Patron Spell will give you access to 1 free 6th level spell slot. This one's a lot more fun for me because then it means you don't have to use Mystic Arcanum for all of your Mystic Arcanum abilities. You can get a free one just for the fun of it. But now I am going to go ahead and use Sanctuary Vessel because we can, so that I can regenerate my spell slots just like that. I also got a bunch of health. Didn't really need it, but that is okay. Let's get combat started by doing Mirror Image. And then I am going to very quickly do Mellow Harmony. We passed the performance check, so let's go ahead and enter turn-based mode. Let's get our air elemental and start combat by doing some attacks to this person here. Ba-boom, ba-boom. Initiative roll of 18, so let's go ahead and come over here and start hitting this bitch with a sword. I'm going to do Rakish Sneak Attack melee. Let's go ahead and hit. Must have advantage. What do you mean? I literally don't need advantage. There we go. I just had to move a little bit. 5, 2, and 26. Let's Genie's Wrath. 6 extra damage. Let's go ahead and do a Booming Blade just because I can. That's a lot of thunder damage. My god, she's dead. Let's go ahead and come over here and let's do Flick of the Wrist to knock this guy's weapon out of his hand. Weapon dropped. Bunch of damage. Let's go ahead and end our turn. This is our elemental. We can skip him. Boom! Isn't that cool? That's our quick draw. I love that. Boom, baby, boom. Take that Armor of Agathis damage. This is perfect. We're being surrounded, which means we can use our Thunder Step to do some fun shenanigans pretty soon. Hit me again. Hit me again. Let's go ahead and just hit one of these guys. Who's got the least amount of health? Probably you. Hell yeah. And now we can do a Thunder Step. Let's see. How can I get all of them? Let's Thunder Step. That should do it. We're going to teleport right over here. I don't want to go too far. I just want to do some thunder damage. Boom! They're all reverberated. And then we can go ahead and run back over. Let's get this guy, because he's pretty low on health. And we're going to Flick of the Wrist to make him drop his weapon again. And then we can Rakish Sneak Attack. We didn't need to. That's okay. He's dead anyway. End our turn. Boom! That's what you get. I love Quick Draw. It's so cool. Do it again. Hit me. Do it again. I'm actually taking a lot of health damage here. Let's go ahead and... who's got the least amount of health? You do. Let's hit you. End our turn. And now we're going to do some more shenanigans. Specifically, we're going to Rakish Sneak Attack on this guy. Must have advantage, so let's go ahead and... can I do this guy? No. Let's just Booming Blade for firsties. This guy. That's a lot of damage. Now we have our advantage again, so let's Rakish Sneak Attack on this guy. Critical hit, 45, 5, and 6. That's a lot of damage. Let's go ahead and Misty Step ourselves. What? Oh, I hit spacebar. Damn it. That's my own fault. I gotta keep my finger off the space bar. Let's quick shot. What? How did that miss? What even happened there? That was weird. That was really weird. Let's do that missy step because I didn't get to do it. Her. Bonus action place. Now we can wreck his sneak attack. Genie's Wrath. And we're going to Booming Blade him to close the deal. That's a lot of damage. Boom, boom, boom. That's the Genie's Wrath, mother trucker. And that's the build, sisters. Declan Voss, the Genie-bound Swashbuckler, a storm in a bottle with a blade to match. If you ended up trying this one out, let me know how it plays for you. Drop a like if you're vibing, sub if you haven't already, and I'll catch you next time with more Baldur's Gate 3 modded madness. Until next time, I'll see you later. Bye!